Hey, stepmamas, welcome to the Stepmom Unfiltered podcast. This is your go to space for unapologetic, unfiltered conversations about the roller coaster ride of stepmotherhood. We're your hosts. I'm Adrienne.
And I'm Amelia. We understand that being a stepmom is like walking a tightrope in stilettos. So we're here to help you embrace the messiness, laugh through the craziness, and find strength in our shared experiences.
This podcast is more than just a series of episodes, it's a community for stepmoms to be real, raw, and unfiltered. Buckle up because we're about to embark on a journey of candid conversations, taboo topics, and expert insights.
This is the Stepmom Unfiltered podcast, your sanctuary for real talk and real solutions.
Hey, friends, welcome to the Stepmom Unfiltered podcast. We have a very exciting and probably slightly controversial topic for today, something that Amelia has written about before in a published article. It's probably in a blog or two of ours as well. And that's blending physical spaces. How do you do it? Which space do you move into? What does that look like? All the things.
Yeah.
So, with that, how are you, Amelia?
I'm good. I'm uncomfortable.
Well, we did say we would keep it real, raw, unfiltered. So I'm sure a little
Yeah,
uncomfort comes for both of us at times.
it
Um,
does. Yeah.
so
Mhm.
so let's jump into talking about, the differences in our situations and probably primarily your situation, because that's where we get a lot of questions, is what that looks like. So for
Yeah.
me, my husband and I, we um, moved in together after being neighbors. So there was no connection to moving into a space that either of the exes had been a part of or lived in.
Right.
But for you, you had a very different situation. Do you want to share that?
I I did, yeah. So yeah, if you haven't read the blog, or listened to this on a different podcast, I moved into the home that my husband bought with his ex-wife.
Dun dun
Uh,
dun.
dun dun dun. Yeah, it's been a journey. Um,
How
an
was that?
uncomfortable journey. Well, the thing is that when this was all being considered, I didn't know what I didn't know. And I just didn't know the feelings to expect. And because I had visited this place numerous times and spent stretches of time here, either just alone with my then boyfriend or fiance, well, boyfriend, um, or even I would bring my daughter, but we would spend stretches of time here. I wasn't overly uncomfortable with it. Like,
Mhm.
obviously, I knew that the ex had lived here, but it wasn't super uncomfortable. And if it was, I would tell myself, like, it's bricks and wood and shingles. Like, it's a
Yeah.
home, right?
Right.
People lived here even before them. I would give myself like all these reasons why, like, it's not a big deal. Um, and when the time came for us to decide to move in together, there was a lot of conversation because I lived in a different town than he did. A lot of conversation of, does he come to me? Do I go to him? Do we move to a separate city together? How does this all look?
Mhm.
And after having the conversations, it was decided the best move would be for myself and my daughter to move into this home. Um, and pretty much on moving day, it just smacked me right in the face of, like, there was just so much history here, and now here I come with my boxes, and I'm gonna come and play house, kind of thing, is how it felt. Like, I felt like an imposter, kind of, I guess,
Was there a
maybe.
defining moment, or was there an incident that occurred on moving day that caused the shift in your mindset around this to go from, oh, this isn't so bad? I mean, you had been spending the night there, you had spent time there, to, oh my gosh, all of a sudden all the history came flooding in and the switch was flipped.
there was a specific moment on the morning after we had moved everything in. I was unpacking some kitchen stuff
Mm-hmm.
and I opened a particular cupboard, and my husband didn't have a whole lot of kitchen appliances or anything like that, dishes and things. But this one particular cupboard had like some servingware in it, and I was going to put my stuff in. And I don't know if there was like stuff that was kind of just needed to go in the garbage or to Goodwill or whatever, but I was trying to put my stuff in and saying like, should we get rid of this or give it away or whatever? And I don't remember the exact conversation, but just something about like, why are you moving everything around? Like, why can't this stay? And it just hit me. It was like he lived here first. Like this is his home and I'm moving in and it's not mine. And it felt really uncomfortable. It just kind of hit me that like this isn't our, I mean, it was ours, don't get me wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but it all came to me pretty quickly that, you know,
Yeah.
um, yeah.
Yeah.
And then from that point on, it was terrible. It was the kitchen faucet, the kitchen cupboard handles, the door handles. Like she's touched this, like she's done the dishes in this sink. You know, the door handle to my bedroom door, she has touched. Like it was everything was a reminder. Sitting on the front porch with my husband, you know, trying to have a cup of coffee or sitting in the evening and wanting to, you know, have a glass of wine or something. And it was like, this is what they used to do here on this porch. Like it made me feel so uncomfortable. Um, it was a challenge. And so top that with the already insecurities that I was feeling about all the things, it was a lot. It really was.
That would be a lot. I don't, I mean, in all candor, I don't think that's something I could do. My husband and I were both very much like everything from the ex was purged and gone. Like when I moved out, from living with my ex, I didn't take anything. I didn't take the furniture. I didn't take the photos off the walls. I didn't take anything. I took my personal belongings and I took what I needed of the kids, like clothes and things like that.
Right.
And that was it. I
Yeah.
started completely over every piece of furniture, every kitchen utensil, everything. Um, it tells you how extreme I was just like, no, fresh start. My husband,
Yeah.
ironically, was the same exact way.
Yeah.
So I can't even fathom or imagine um, what that what that would feel like. In fact, even there was all the furniture my ex and I had bought together, I left, he kept.
Yeah.
And when he ended up in a relationship and they moved in together, it was still all the furniture we bought together for the kids, all the living room furniture we bought together, the things I picked out or we picked out together. And I always said, what woman could move into a home and do that? Like I couldn't wrap my head around it. It's not something I could ever do. So, um, and yet having enough conversations with you, I have such respect the fact that you've done it and you've worked through all of those feelings of insecurity and found a way to make the home yours and your family's and realize that the actual home itself, the wood, the brick, that's all just material things. It's what's
Yeah.
inside the home and the love and the experiences that makes that home your family's home. Um,
Yeah.
but
I
yeah,
mean,
I couldn't do it, so I applaud you.
we didn't, yeah. The furniture that I brought was the furniture that we ended up using, like the living room furniture.
So that helps.
Yeah, and I think very shortly after that, maybe a Christmas or two Christmases, like we went for a Boxing Day. Sorry, for Americans, Boxing Day is the day after Christmas. There's lots of big sales that happen. We went and bought new furniture for the living room that was just ours, right? The bed,
Oh,
I'm
the
pretty,
bed. I
yeah,
can't wait to hear what
I
you're gonna
think
say.
I believe she took the bed, like the bed that he had here when I would come and stay here. I'm positive was just like, because it wasn't anything fancy. And then I brought my bed, which, sorry, Teddy, that was my bed from before. Surprise.
Well, he probably knew that. I mean,
I mean,
really,
maybe he
like,
didn't, I don't know. But there you go. Surprise, husband. Um, but we've made it a point to kind of buy new thing. I mean, we don't have endless amounts of money, right?
right.
So we couldn't just go and outfit a new house together, right? So it's taken time. For our 1 year wedding anniversary, my darling husband went and bought me a bedroom set,
Aw,
and
yeah.
um the kitchen table, though, that was another one for me. The kitchen table she left, and I had a terrible time with the kitchen table after a while. It would make my skin crawl to think that meals were shared around this particular table, and I couldn't bear it. So, and it was a beautiful table. It was gorgeous.
That's the thing. It's not the actual item, it's the
It was
shared memories
it was the
that,
memories. Yeah.
yeah, that
Like,
revolve around that item.
yes. And so I got to a point where like I couldn't handle the table. So got rid of the table, kept the chairs, because I don't know my logic, but that was my logic, was I'll just get rid of the table, keep the chairs. Did that, hated the table that I got, and about a year and a half later, I literally bought the same table that they'd had, and that is the table that we have now. Um,
I'm sorry, that cracks me up. But it wasn't the actual table they shared. It was just the same
it's
one, but you bought a new one.
I bought a new one. Yeah.
That's
Bought a new one
awesome.
off Wayfair. Yeah. Um, yeah, and the interesting thing was when I moved in and all these feelings started to surface and I was getting super uncomfortable, and my husband, God bless him, like he just couldn't really understand, like, what is the problem? Like, I don't, it's literally just a house and we live here together. So like, what is your problem? I mean, he didn't say it in those words, but
Right.
I could tell that like he just didn't get it, right? As nobody can if they have not been in these shoes.
Right.
And I would say things like, I want to paint the kitchen. The kitchen was like this bluey color, which I've come to learn she loves blue. Um, and I wanted to paint it. Number one, it's just not a color that I would paint. And number two, it was a color that they painted together, and I just wanted a different color. And there was some pushback on that. And he was like, I literally just painted this whole house. Like, because they'd only lived here for a few months together,
Hmm.
before they separated. So he had been doing some renovating. So things were
Yeah.
fairly fresh. So he was like, why am I repainting these freshly painted walls? And it was like, because I just need something that's ours, that we go and we pick together. And he eventually caught on that, like, okay, now I get it.
Yeah.
I still think he didn't fully get it, but he was a willing
Well,
participant. Like he was like, okay, fine.
well,
I'll paint.
and how could he fully get it, right? I'm sure in
You
his
can't.
mind, one, the roles were reversed. He hadn't experienced what you were experiencing. Two, in his mind, there was probably this little element of like, we only lived here a few months. It's not like our whole
Totally.
marriage was here or all of these specifics, right? Like, or 10 years have
Totally.
passed, or so there's probably for him this sense of like, we didn't live here that long together. And I'm just guessing. So Teddy, don't be mad at me. Um, but, and then, like you said, he had already poured all this money in and all this time and effort and work to all these renovations.
Yeah.
Um, but that didn't matter. It was that
No, it
they
didn't
picked
matter.
the color together. That's all
Right.
that really mattered, is like you just needed to be the one to pick the color with him.
Well, yeah, I was like, it's bad enough that she picked my house now.
Yeah.
So can I just pick the paint color? Like, please, right? Um, so yeah, it was kind of a challenge, and I get it. Like we didn't, you know, newly divorced people, like you don't always have lots of money floating around. So, every little bit adds up. So it was like spending money on things that he'd just spent money on and all of
Yeah.
that. But it did those things helped. And over the years, it helped to have our own memories here, like our Christmases, and we have our Christmas traditions and having kids' birthdays and, bringing our son home here. Like all of these things have helped make it my home now. And I don't fixate. There's the odd time where I'm like, ugh, I kind of roll
Yeah.
my eyes, but that quickly passes because we've changed so many things. And we've done lots of our own renovations, and this is
You've
my
made
home
it your
now.
home now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
Um, and I think since, being able to overcome some of those earlier insecurities and just having a stronger relationship with my husband, like growing that foundation, that has also helped.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, the early days were tough. The bedroom was a big one.
Yeah.
It was a very uncomfortable place to be a lot of the times, but
Yeah.
again, with time, you know,
Yeah.
it's been easier.
Yeah, I feel like we're quite the two extremes, right? Where like I'm like,
Mhm.
nope, purge everything and start and I
Yeah,
didn't have the money to do that, right? It was one, I moved out of necessity. There's some extenuating circumstances around that. And I didn't have
yeah,
the time to I didn't even have the time to think about like what I would or wouldn't take. We didn't have conversations about what we would or wouldn't split.
right.
So without getting into all of those details, I took the necessities in that moment. Um,
Mhm.
and then looking back though, it definitely felt good to start fresh on my own and to go choose my own furniture. And it took time, right? I had to buy one piece of furniture at a time.
Yeah,
And then when my husband and I met and we moved in, we actually sat down and we're like, okay, we're gonna keep this and this and this. And it was just like, what furniture of what we have collectively do we want to mash together? And that's changed a ton. I mean, we've had so many different sets of furniture as at this point.
yeah, yeah,
But we bought a brand new bedroom set. It wasn't my bed or his bed. And even though they weren't tied to the exes at that point, it still felt good to just start to build our life together.
something
And
together.
yeah, when
Yeah,
you look around our home, I mean, we've done it over time. It wasn't all at once. But it does
right.
feel good to build your life together. Uh, so I get
Yeah,
that.
and I think, yeah, I mean, not everyone obviously needs to be in my situation to have those same feelings. You can have a home that you purchase or rent, move into together,
Hmm.
and still kind of feel icky about things, right? So a
Right.
reminder to people that are feeling that way that yeah, it does take time, and maybe work on communicating that you want to invest in, you know, buying those pieces together over time. And yeah, it does take time because most people can't just afford to, redo an
No.
entire house, but maybe make that a goal. Like that's something that you're working on together, buying a bedroom set and living room furniture and a kitchen table.
Well, and I think it's
All the
having those
things.
conversations up front, right? Of what's important to you or what matters. For some people, those things probably don't even phase them. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't impact them. They probably don't feel anything about it. For others of us, we feel very strongly about it.
Yeah,
And then there's all the range in between those two extremes. So I think having those conversations, and if it is important to you, asking, was this
yeah,
something with your ex or not? And
right.
it's amazing how much can be resolved by conversation. I feel like so much of what
Yeah,
we talk about is like, well, if you just have a
communicate.
conversation with your partner, yeah, then
Well, and I think, but that boils back to I can't communicate with my partner because everything turns into an argument. Everything
mm,
that I try and talk about, family related, turns into an argument. So it's
right,
going back to learning how to communicate effectively
right.
with your partner about these issues, right?
Or
Um,
even being able to identify what is an issue for you. Sometimes we
yeah,
don't know until we're in the midst of it. Like you said, you had spent the
yeah,
night there. You didn't have any of these thoughts or worries before that. And then
no, not
then it
overly.
hit you
It
like a ton
did.
of bricks. And
It
so,
really, yeah. But that's the thing, and I think people can like beat themselves up over, if I just would have considered that, right? If I would have thought about that, like why didn't I think about it? Well, because you didn't think about it. Like you
right.
can't anticipate all these,
No, you can't.
varied emotions. Like you just, unless you're in it, you truly just don't know, right?
Right.
So I think giving yourself grace to you're a human being, you're learning as you go. And that's okay. Like it doesn't make you petty or, a crazy insecure person, right?
No.
Um,
And you're
yeah,
right. You can't think of everything, especially if you haven't been in that experience before. So
yeah, it's
we do the best
impossible.
we can with what we know at the time, and then
Yeah,
when you know better, do better.
exactly. Yeah.
So, I love that. Well, we do have the article that Amelia has
Mhm.
written about this on our website, theartofblendedchaos.com. And if you have questions about this or want to chat about, moving in with your partner and decisions around that, or
Mhm.
reach out to us on our website or DM us on Instagram at the Art of Blended Chaos. And we hope you have a great day.
A quick disclaimer to cover our asses. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on today's episode are the speaker's own, so if you didn't like them, why didn't you turn us off sooner?
The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only. If you need support with a specific topic, you can do so by booking a one-on-one coaching call through our website, theartofblendedchaos.com. This podcast is not intended to replace professional, legal, or medical advice. You seriously didn't think we were lawyers or doctors, did you?